Test 1, 2, 3. Unified School District. Will you stand with me and let's say the Pledge of Allegiance together. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. We have a roll call. Star Jensen.
Here.
Boyd Hardy.
Here.
Roger Cox.
Here.
Lori Grant.
Here.
And Tony Henry present. All right, so we will move on to item number 4 on the agenda, the call to the public. As a reminder, the board will listen to any comments from the public, but will not respond except permitted by ARS, Arizona Revised Statutes 38-431.01. The board may refer the item to the administration or request to have it placed on a future agenda. And today we do have quite a few call to the publics, so we will be doing our best to enforce the 3-minute rule that is in our policies, just so that the meeting doesn't take too long. These are in no particular order, so the first one I have is Chris Buck. If you can come up to the microphone.
Afternoon. I'm Chris Buck. I am a member of Lee Williams High School. The topics I would like to talk about is, of course, the policy as to taking the finals, as well as the finals test, and of course the possible alternative for positive implications for Lee Williams students. I would like to start off by giving a metaphor of sorts of a woman named Charlotte. So say Charlotte is a model student and is dubbed an overachiever in her class. She has multiple honor rolls and is part of the honor society. And on top of that, has only missed but 5 days of school due to sickness or her late mother's passing. She goes to take the finals, and unfortunately, due to one bad day, her finals is terrible. Well, Charlotte might be okay due to, of course, her grades being near bulletproof. What about other Lee Williams students who may have struggled throughout the school year? Why should Lee Williams as a whole have one final test, or schooling system have one final test to show proficiency throughout the year? I think proficiency should be scaled on multiple tests throughout that year. And on top of that, I do believe that as an incentive, I believe it would be small for maybe a positive incentive between students. I know I myself am not a model student and is far from it, but I can say with certainty that I would try a lot harder if I knew my grades were working towards something. So whether that be small positive incentives, whether maybe one day, like listen to music, maybe during after the teacher's done talking, maybe I can talk to my friends while I'm working. If of course my grades skyrocket due to that. There's lots of ways students can learn at Lee Williams or other high schools, but I do believe that we should, if the chance that a student may flourish with given positive incentives, that why not take the chance? At worst, they get their phone stripped away and they get to earn back their grade again, and which I think is completely fair, as you can lead a donkey to water, but you can't make it sip, you can't make it drink. And I believe that these are topics which could be discussed on later proposals. I think I covered all my main points. I do believe that the late policy is 3 days is very iffy and near impossible, as most teachers will not be able to make it all but 3 days. I believe 3 days is too short amount of time, and I believe my other conversation about a finals test should maybe be thought over more.
Thank you. And then next we have Samantha Finn.
Hi, my name is Samantha Finn. I'm also one of the Lee Williams students. And the topic that I wanted to also talk over today was also the exemption policy for the finals. I feel like I understand the new policy this year, which is the 3 days, you can't miss school. You have to have an A for 3 days, and then a B for 2 days, and then a C for like 1 day of missing school. And then, of course, you have to have good grades and the 5 missing assignments. I agree with all of those. I feel like it is important for kids to show up to school, because if you're not showing up to school, how are you actually learning? I just feel like a lot of kids are showing up to school, as I experienced. I showed up to school last week, ended up getting sick because so many people are showing up to school sick because they're scared to stay home, because everyone wants to be able to not take the finals, because it feels like a reward for working up to, oh, I have good grades, so I don't have to take the finals. It feels awesome because it feels like your good grades are paying off. But for the kids who like already know they have to take the finals because they have bad grades and they're not showing up, the 3 days isn't going to bother them, because it's like, why would I show up if I'm already having bad grades? I already have to take the finals. I feel like it's only encouraging them to skip even more school. And it's like making the kids feel like the ones who want to like work hard and not take the finals, is making them feel like, I have to show up to school and I can't be sick and I can't take a sick day and I can't have emergencies and I can't have family things going on, even though most of the time it's not even in our control to show up to school, because we are minors and things happen. So I feel like the 3 days is really impossible for anyone. I feel like for this next finals test, there is only going to be at least 2 people exempted from it, because of how impossible it is for people to miss only 3 days of school. I feel like it should be more like 8 days out of the whole year sounds reasonable to me. But I also feel like for the kids that try hard, there's nothing encouraging them anymore, because they already know that they're going to have to take the finals. And there's nothing pushing those kids that need to be pushed to try harder. There's nothing pushing them anymore. Like last year, I feel like everyone did feel more of a push, because we had, I don't necessarily agree with the tardy thing either. I do feel like there needs to be some other thing that we can do for the exemptions, if we are going to have exemptions, because right now with the 3 days of missing school, it's impossible. And if we are going to have an exemption on finals, I feel like it needs to be fair for everyone, or we just all need to take finals. Or like what Chris was saying, we could do tests throughout the year that shows our actual improvement and our actual like a better representation of like what we have learned in that class, rather than one big test at the end of the year. Not to mention how much test anxiety people have.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you very much for coming and speaking with us. And since I am unfamiliar with the policies, maybe we could just get that sent to us so that we could review and potentially.
I'll have the 2 high school principals send their test exemption policies.
Thank you. We appreciate that. It does look like we might be short some chairs. I see one over here for sure.
Gretchen, could you also send me what the old policy was and ask the teachers to send us?
Yeah,
the
it was
old
the
and
same
new?
for years. It changed briefly during the pandemic. And then when we left the emergency state of pandemic, I believe they reverted to the original policy. So I'll send both.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate that. Then next we have Danielle.
Hello, board and administrators. My name is Danielle Keck, and I have a student in the district. There are a few issues I'd like to bring to the board's attention. School started 8 weeks ago, and my son still does not have a teacher for his integrated math class. They have had different subs since the beginning of the school year. I would like to know, when does the district expect this teacher to arrive? Also, they are not going through the textbook. They have just been giving out worksheets. I'm very concerned about the students falling behind and then having to be tested on material that has not been properly taught. I feel like they are being set up for failure. The second thing is, on August 30th, my son was given an awareness contract to sign and turn in the next day. This contract was double-sided, referenced over 15 district school board policies, along with a student handbook, had spelling errors, incorrect dates, and was also missing a spot for a parent or guardian to sign. My son forgot to give me the paper that evening, and the next day at school, he told me he wasn't going to be able to participate in the homecoming field day events if he didn't turn it in. I immediately called the school and spoke to the principal's secretary, who was not aware of the contract I was referring to. She was kind enough to call my son's teacher and let him know that she was giving us until Monday to turn in the paper, so I had time to review it for myself. We have less than 24 hours with our kids from the time they get home from school to the time they return the next day. I want to know if it's common practice for KUSD to have students sign contracts without their parents' permission in less than 24 hours. The third item I would like to address is the age of some of the textbooks that were given to us. Someone informed me that the reason the district does not pass out books is because some of them are 15 years old. I found that odd, but then I went to check and they were correct. The literature book is 16 years old and the biology book is 17 years old. I'm not opposed to these books necessarily, but I'm curious how often the district reviews what textbooks are being used and how often they look into new or better curriculum. I also want to encourage the board to reconsider their decision to not allow ESA students to participate in sports and extracurricular activities within the district. After reviewing the district's policy JJJ regarding extracurricular activities eligibility, I could not find anywhere where it states that ESA students cannot participate. I have been told that money is the main reason why behind the district's decision. I personally feel this is a politically charged issue and encourage KUSD consider all students' needs before pushing political agendas. The district can work together with ESA to cover the cost for each student. And last but not least, on the behalf of Wayne Hollins of Golden Valley, also known as the Cactus Cleaner, he would like to know the status of the hydroponic systems that were granted to KUSD between 2 to 3 years ago. I understand you do not have to respond at this time, but I hope you will consider what I have said and bring them up for discussion at the next board meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. 6 seconds to go. Good job. So are we able to look into some of those?
Absolutely.
Requests on there and,
Yeah, we'll take copies of those and we'll get answers for the board and the speaker.
okay, thank you. The next we have, Dr. Catherine
Normoyle.
Normoyle. I'm sorry. Come on up. One of the letters, I couldn't tell what it was.
Good afternoon. My name is Dr. Catherine Normile. I am a previous teacher here at Kingman Unified School District. I worked here for 5 years. I've left recently, opened my own ESA funded school. I'm here to speak on the board's decision not to allow ESA to participate. Recently, I have actually sent a proposal to everybody who I could find contact information to the board on. And I say that because it's listed on there, but there's no accurate information on the website at the time and where I was directed by the local district here to go ahead and get the information. I did have a board member respond. I will not name the board member, but I do have a board member respond. And the points that were pointed out to me is at this time, they are not willing to go and look or wanting to go and look at the older policies that have been in place by boards before them. While that is understandable, at the same time, the most dangerous statement in education is we're not doing it because it's not the way it's always been done. And that's what we're have there. In addition, the next thing that I came to the conclusion of was that it was going to be a financial issue. At that point, I did offer a stipend per sport, per student who was going to be selected to be put on there as well. The third thing that was pointed out was liability. Liability is not an issue as we do as ESA LLCs hold our own insurances on top of that. So we are liable for that portion. The last thing that I've also found out from another member is that transportation has become an issue as well. While I do understand that I have multiple parents who are background checked, fingerprint clearance card, along with everything else to be able to drive my students. So my students would not need to go on the bus, different things like that as well. Finally, I do want to make a note is that my school is known as a Prenda school. Prenda is no longer a charter school, nor are they the school. They are a curriculum. My school is the Marvelous Micro School. So at this point, it is fully funded by ESA and everything from there. So at this time, I do request, and again, like Ms. Danielle said, I understand that you guys cannot respond at this time, but I do request that my proposal be reviewed by those that did not get it. And anybody else who would like it, I'm more than happy to send it to you and have you review it as well. And I request you guys review your decision again and review and go over it. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You and I have already kind of spoken and maybe we can revisit a little bit.
Yes.
All right. We have Dr. Laura Donor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good afternoon. I am Dr. Laura Donor, and I'm relatively new to the area. Just started at Lee Williams High School this fall. Some of my students have been coming to me and remarking that they are concerned about the behavior of other students in the class, disruptive behavior, and it's preventing them from learning as they would like to. Today, I gave all of my students the option of doing the classwork or doing an assignment, not an assignment, the option of writing a letter to the board. And I let the students decide how this letter would read. I only had 13 that opted for it, but I did not assign any credit for it. And when I made that clear, many of them said, like, "Yeah, why do it then?" So I think it's even more notable that I had 13 who did do the letter, took the time to write it. Some of them worked on it throughout the day and brought it to me later. And I do have copies for each of the board members. The first page is a copy of the assignment as it was written on the board. The only two rules that I stipulated were the letters must show respect and that they restrict disparaging comments regarding individual teachers to me only. And don't bring any other teachers into this because I did not consult any other teachers before I did this. The student content, they decided the greeting should be dear members of the board. They opened it with, I would like to address an issue that impacts my learning environment. And they addressed items such as arguing with teachers, messing around, throwing objects, destroying school property, and profanity. And I'll just briefly read two of the more concise ones that, and I will also note one of the letters in here, because I gave them permission to write things about me, one of them took me up on that offer. So I will just let you read it and think what you will. They had some points to make. I have to write. Let's see. One of these was written by a ninth grader, very articulate ninth grader, I might add. And of course, the copy that I marked is no longer marked, but yeah, ninth grader. To whom this may concern, I would like to address an issue that impedes my learning ability. Many students in my district, school, and grade are ruining the learning environment for myself and other students. Many students, primarily in my first, fourth, and eighth period classes, have no respect for teachers. As a result, many teachers have given up on trying to correct the behavior and let the entire period become chaos. In my fourth period, we haven't received an assignment since the second week of school due to this issue. I hope this is something that can be resolved because many students, including myself, may not score very well come state testing. And it's signed student of Dr. Donor's second period class. Do we have time for one more? How are we doing on time?
We have about 36 seconds.
I think I might pass. I would not be able to finish it in the 30 seconds, but it does end with, they don't realize how unfair it is to the students that actually want to learn. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great assignment. I would love a copy as well, as would, I'm sure, Principal Hannah.
I have 5 copies here. You can feel free to make more if needed. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'm sure that's something that you will want to look into. All right, and then next we have Ron Bear, I think, to speak about the electronic devices policy.
President, members of the board, Dr. Dorner, as always, a pleasure to be here. Probably not so much on this occasion, maybe when I get done. Last week, after we went on, well, the week before, I'm sorry, before we went on our Labor Day weekend, we got a notice on Friday that the new cell phone policy would take effect immediately on Tuesday. No discussion with teachers. None with any staff other than admin. And it said that this was a district-wide brand new policy. that completely contradicts your current board policy found in JICJ, which states a teacher is allowed to make decisions as to how cell phones are used in their classrooms. This is your board policy. I took it right out of the policy manual. And I'd like to read this real quick here. Devices are to be used only for the specific purpose stated by the teacher. Portable electronic devices shall not be turned on or used in any way during instruction time or when their use is otherwise prohibited by school administrators or teachers. Instructional time includes, and it goes on to say what it is. I and several other teachers in your district use cell phones for kids to have to turn in their homework. It is proof and it eliminates the argument and the discussion of I turned it in, my teacher threw my assignment in the garbage. I have an electronic copy. You have an electronic copy. If your parents get on student view or parent view, they have the electronic proof they need that you did your assignment. By administering this policy and following it verbatim the way it currently reads now, as of a week ago Friday, my students, this would exempt them. I can tell you, and I have no quarrels with telling you, I am not following that board policy. My students turn in their work using their cell phones. I do not allow my kids to sit on TikTok, MySpace, whatever space. I could care less about all that crap. My problem is cell phones not being allowed for educational purposes. I wrote the policy back in 2007, long before teachers in the district were using computers in their classroom, that allowed laptops. I bought a complete set of laptops for my kids to use when I was at KMS at that time period, and have for years used electronic devices and have not had a problem. If we have an issue with teachers, we should be taking up with the teachers that are the problem, not all of us, and not putting a Band-Aid on a chest wound. That's not going to solve our issues. Those same teachers that you make this new policy for, that no one was consulted for, could care less about your policy, obviously, or they would have been enforcing it before. Because it does state in our policy book over at Lee Williams High School that cell phones can only be used for instructional purposes dictated by the teacher. This is straight out of our manual. So I would argue that if we had an administrator from outside of our building come in, they should have gone directly to our school administrator and brought this up, that we have students using this, and it be handled internally, as would any principal, I would assume, want that handled internally at their school. I understand that Dr. Dorner and the team have a thing with needing to have continuity and that, and I appreciate that, and I always respect that. I have never gone against their wishes. I have followed this district's policies tooth and nail, whether I agree or disagree. But this is one where I have got to make a stand. These kids right here, these four have been in my classes. They know what it's like to have to not turn in their work, and they turn it in constantly.
Thank you. We appreciate your comments.
And for the record, I will share the email that was given, and it is to follow that policy strictly. So there's some inaccuracies in that I can share with you.
Thank you.
It is exactly as written. It needs to be enforced.
Thank you. And then our last call to the public, Janice Dimick, thank you. I would probably need some better glasses. That's all I can say.
Thank you, members of the board. My name is Janice Dimick, and I am a parent of some students that attend Dr. Norm Royal's micro school. I am here to also ask the board to reconsider the decision made at the last board meeting to not allow the ESA students to at least try out for sports put on by the district. From the minutes that I went through over the last couple of years for the board, I can see that the two main issues were funding, and then also the option that, you know, these students have the option to attend a KUSD school and then therefore participate in the sports that are offered. I know that it's been, as Dr. Dorner had stated in your August 2022 meeting, that the lines between homeschool and these types of students has somewhat become blurred, and that maybe the district need to take another look at it. in some of the research that I did, I mean, currently you guys are allowing homeschool students to participate, and homeschool students can also receive the same exact funds that our students are also receiving at this time. With the other issue of students that can also attend one of the KUSD schools, I have 2 children and they have attended KUSD schools from kindergarten all the way up until this school year when I removed them. And those is not for reasons to get into at this meeting, but there's a multitude of reasons why kids, for whatever reasons, become major anxiety issues, some sort of mental illness, of why the education through KUSD is no longer working for them. So with that, I do request that the district please reconsider their decision from the last meeting.
Thank you.
Dr. Dorner and I have already kind of started a conversation on that, so we will continue that as board and administration. So that was all of the calls to the publics that I have, so we will continue on with the rest of our agenda. Item number 5 is reports from our superintendent, Dr. Dorner, on facilities.
President Henry, members of the board, I would like to introduce Rachel Saunders, the interim director of facilities for SSC. We recently had a change in directors, and we are so happy to have Rachel with us at this time, and she's going to give you an update on grounds, facilities, and maintenance and where we stand in the district today. And then immediately following her, I have an announcement to make as well.
Fantastic. Oh, I'll come right here. Good evening, Madam President, members of the board, administrators, KUSD community. Thank you for listening to me speak tonight. I appreciate the opportunity to get to kind of highlight some of the positive opportunities that have been presented to us internally. And I am joined this evening by my team. My name is Rachel Saunders again, but my team is back there. Got John Lane, he's the regional vice president for SSC. Trevor Garcia is the new regional director of operations. Jose Maldonado is a senior project manager with the STAT team, the same team I belong to. And then I've got a couple of unit directors here as well. Mr. Anthony Rodriguez, who is our maintenance director, and Galen Niederhauser, our grounds director. So I'm joined here by quite a lot of folks, so it's nice to see. Anyhow, I once again want to say thank you for the opportunity to allow me to highlight some of the things in the district that we are proud of.
It's always got its quirks.
Oh, that's fine. I can just stand here. It's no problem. Currently, we maintain 11 buildings. We clean a little over 1 million square feet of area. We have been in partnership with the district for just over 1.5 years, and we currently manage about 227 acres. And recently the department has undergone, and we think it's for the best for both the district and our company. As we move forward, we were able to identify some opportunities internally for our processes that we are going to strive to try and improve, and some things that we are very proud of that we see turning in a very positive light. So in this presentation, we're going to be kind of highlighting a little bit about our folks. I'll give you some custodial updates, some facilities updates, and a grounds update. Right now, we have 78 total current employees, and we are doing a lot of brainstorming on ways that we can attract maybe a bigger pool or a better pool of qualified candidates for both our custodial, grounds, and maintenance teams. We're very proud of the team we have. We do have some opportunities and vacancies within the department. So if anybody knows anyone looking for a great place to work, send them our way. Our custodial department. Oh, I actually do. Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you. Some of our scheduled custodial projects, as you can see, is our scrub and recoat of the KMS gym floor. That is scheduled in December. We had a little bit of an opportunity to get some additional floor work done. We were working with the vendor, weren't quite happy with some of the product that we ended up getting out of it, and worked with the contractor to make sure that they come back and we get the job done correctly. And along with that, in December, well, end of December-ish, we're going to be doing a gym floor coating over at KHS as well, and a strip and wax of the main halls at Manzanita during the fall break. And right now, our custodial team is kind of finalizing some of their fall break projects within the district. We are trying to maximize as much as we can, given some of the use of the buildings for fall intercession. Some of the things that we are very proud of are some of our strip and wax projects that we had at Surbat, La Sanita, and you can see a before and after right there of the gym floor that came out. And then we have a Mount Tipton cafeteria strip and wax that we're going to be doing. We're going to be targeting a lot of floor care during the fall break and during some of the upcoming holiday breaks as well. Unfortunately, these floors were, we'll say, kind of neglected for a little while. We know that we have some opportunities there, and we're going to target trying to get them back looking as nice as we can. Our facilities department. We let me walk that back. So Jose and I, we've been here a couple months now. Myself, I've been here just a little bit longer. We identified some of our work orders as a opportunity, shall we say. When we came into the district, we had a lot of chaotic processes there. And we decided, you know, one of the first things we needed to target was to clean up our work order system internally. We needed to make sure that our team had the support and the structure that we say we were going to provide, and the training to do so. So we've been working on that. We're currently working on that, and we will continue to target our work order process. We know that we do have some opportunities there in terms of response time, prioritization, and follow-up. Well, we're going to get there. We're also going to be doing our boiler inspection soon, and our HVAC PMs, our preventative maintenance. I believe that's actually going to start September 15th-ish. Jose? Thank you. Don't speak too much. Starts Friday. Yes, starts Friday. So busy. It's that busy time of year that we're trying to prep our buildings and make sure that we go into the winter time as prepared as possible. Our work order highlight, I kind of touched a little bit on this. When Jose and I started this work order process, we got into our work order system. We had about 1,230 open work orders district-wide. And in the last month or so, we've cut that down in half. And we are still trending that way. We, excuse me, we are still working to prioritize that, make sure that we hone down our processes with our maintenance team. This is a little bit newer for them too. You know, our maintenance team, some of them are quite new in the department, but they are catching on quickly. They're an eager lot, very positive, and I am very excited to see where we'll be standing the next time we do one of our reports. We recently completed the Manzanita wall repaint, the front side or the front part of the building right out there by the office. From what I hear, is going to be getting a kind of a painting facelift from my understanding. We were able to whitewash that out, get that prepped. We've been working on our inventory cleanup and reorganization, as you can see on the right side there on that picture. We kind of walked into a little bit of a chaotic, disorganized area. And, you know, if anyone knows anything about any type of facilities process, or even just in your own home, you need an organized work area that we can pull any type of tool or any type of item that the maintenance team needs without having to try to search through random bins, boxes, anything else. We can quickly get it, and then we're working on trying to get a replenish system set up, our inventory system, so that our team isn't having to make unnecessary trips or runs to local hardware stores or wait on parts, so we can get that stuff taken care of as quickly as possible so that you're not waiting as long as what you might have already been waiting to get your items fixed. And then we're also going to be starting a second shift in the maintenance department. We do know that there are a lot of opportunities that we do not have during the daytime in learning spaces, shared spaces, offices. We don't want to disrupt the learning process. We don't want to disrupt any of our staff, any of your teachers or office personnel. So we're going to be trying to target some of these work orders in these spaces and shared areas that will hopefully be more vacant in those later hours. Our grounds, it's actually very nice looking. Good job, Galen. Our scheduled grounds projects, we are planning on repairing the damaged irrigation control wiring at White Cliffs. We have been, and I'm sure you've been seeing it around, I saw it just the other day. We've been working on tree trimming on several campuses, removing dead trees as well. I just saw that actually happen just the other day right here outside the district office. Field prep for upcoming games. We did have some confusion on some recent field painting, but we're going to make sure that we try to streamline that process. So that's taken care of. We appreciate the patience and the understanding as we work through some of those things. And we're going to be grading the washout along, I'm going to say this wrong, Jaggerson, sorry, which is going to add a berm to prevent any future damage from any heavy rains. We've been working really hard. I'm proud of the team. They are working understaffed, but they are, as I've said, they are very positive. Every morning I go over there, start the grounds department up. They are happy to be a part of KUSD. Some of our recent grounds project highlights. We did some summer field maintenance at the elementary and the middle schools. We aerated, fertilized, and overseeded with 3-way grass seed blend. And as you can kind of see, we're starting to notice a bit of a improvement in how our grounds are looking compared to what they looked quite a while ago. We did take soil samples that we sent to, excuse me, that we created an individual site turf management plan on. The results, we are, like I said, being seen in the fields with more lush turf, making them safer for sports to play on. And with that, that concludes my presentation. I'm happy to sit all questions over to them, so I'm not having to sit in the hot seat. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm happy to answer any questions that the board or anyone may have regarding anything that I spoke to.
Any questions?
Southeast Services Corporation. Aha.
Okay, and do you do these projects in other school districts also?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. It depends on the contract. It depends on if it's a full facilities account, which this account is. We do the maintenance, the grounds, and the custodial. Some accounts are just strictly custodial. So it really just depends on the area.
And do you work with certain safety standards such as OSHA guidelines and this kind of thing?
We do. We abide by federal guidelines, sometimes state, even county guidelines, if they are a little bit different. We do know that that does change. So anywhere we go into, we make sure we learn what those guidelines are and abide by them. Board policy as well.
It looks like a really good program to me. I appreciate what you're doing.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you. I couldn't do it without the team that you don't see here, the frontline folks. And then my management team. They are a hardworking, fantastic group of people. And I'm going to miss Kingman when I head out. I am working, like I said, as interim. I've been here for a couple months, happy to stay here longer, but you've got a good team here and I'm really proud of all of them.
Madam President, do you have a plan or a schedule for cleaning the roofs off at monsoon time? Cleaning the roofs off and the vents during and before monsoon happens?
We are putting that plan together.
Before monsoon?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. I will get that.
I was just curious, you had on one of your slides, the inventory cleanup and reorganization, you know, with the picture. So do
Yeah.
you have a place here? Is it at one of the schools or do you have a separate building where that inventory is kept?
Yeah, we actually have a facilities building on the other side of this transportation building that houses most of our stuff. And then we are cleaning that up right now to put a little bit more of our custodial stuff in there. We have a lot of stuff down in the central kitchen warehouse area that we're trying to get moved back up to one location to manage it just a little bit better.
All right, thank you.
Sure.
Thank you. We appreciate the presentation.
No problem. Thank you all very much. Have a good evening.
Thank
You
you
as
as
well,
well.
Thank you, everyone.
Saunders. I have exciting news. I want to talk a minute about an employee that's worked for our district, Kingman Unified District, and now works for SSC. Galen Niederheiser, wave, come out here. I want you right by the podium if you don't mind, Galen. Galen started with Kingman Unified School District in October of 2002, a long time ago, and stayed with us in the area of grounds and as the lead grounds person until July of 2018, when you moved on to what you thought might be better things, and rejoined us as the grounds manager with SSC in 2022. I was thrilled when the lead management with SSC came to me for a reference check on Galen, and I gave 5 stars. Yeah, 5 stars because this guy knows grounds. And I think a lot of what you saw in Rachel's presentation on the grounds end has to do with Galen and your entire team, I understand. A specialty in turf and understanding grass and actually everything. He's a walking encyclopedia. Just ask him. He'll either know or he'll make it up and sound like he knows, right, Galen? You do know. He knows everything. So it was really exciting to me when I recently heard from Neil Cathy, who is, what is his title now, John? What's Neil's? Anyway, he's like a regional director of grounds, that Galen was nominated for an award with SSC, which is a national company with, I don't know how many employees, thousands of employees. And Neil said to me, I was happy to announce that Galen has received the I Got This award, which is, and I'm just going to read what they said. Aaron Proksch, a friend and colleague on the grounds and support team with SSC, passed away in October of 2021. To honor his memory, an award was created. This award is named after something Eric said often. I got this. Eric not only said the words, but embodied their meaning. When he said that he had it, he did. Often the phrase was him volunteering for something or picking up the pieces at an account. He was never afraid to jump in and handle a situation. Eric didn't see problems, he saw opportunities. These opportunities were a way to take care of our customers and employees. This honor is going to be awarded each fall to commemorate Eric's passing and to provide an opportunity for the recipient to attend the Equip Trade Show and PGMS National Meeting in Louisville, Kentucky during the month of October. The recipient has a tree planted at the account they service. This tree and plaque that goes with it honors both Eric and the recipient of the award. Members of the grounds leadership team will nominate candidates for the award. They will then rate the nominees based on the person being a team player, flexibility in meeting the client's needs, self-reliance on performing their job, can-do attitude, and leadership of employees reporting to them. And I'm happy to announce that Galen was not only nominated, but he was unanimously bestowed this award out of all grounds people in the entire nation. And anybody in here know Galen? He is awesome. And we are so happy to have you on the SSC KUSD collaborative team. Thank you, Galen.
Yes, congratulations.
And he's heading to Kentucky in October. So we'll try to keep everything alive and cut while you're gone.
For those few days.
I've worked with Galen personally, and everything that the criteria speaks about him is true. So congratulations. And that concludes my board report. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Dorner. So we'll move to board reports. Star and I had the opportunity to attend the ASBA, the Arizona State School Board Association Law Conference down in Phoenix this past weekend. And so I'm just gonna let you go ahead and go first and give a report.
Okay, the first thing was 108 degrees is too hot.
I registered 115. I don't know what you're talking about.
I was being positive. Okay, it was held in Paradise Valley at the Camelback Inn. The pre-conference included common ground strategies for moving forward through governance and leadership and creating thrivers. Thrivers was the big word at the conference, and I'll get into that a little more. The law conference included various sessions, presentations, many in various law firms that represent the school districts around the state who presented the sessions. The audience was able to ask specific questions of the lawyers directly on many of the topics. National scholars, they were just the who's who of law and education. Topped the list of keynote speakers who updated the group on various laws, other topics. We were updated on things we have no control over. Dr. Michelle Borba, she has gone worldwide and has looked at schools that the kids are thriving. That's the word, thrive, and thrivers, that they are have the resiliency regardless of DNA, zip code. What was the other one? Oh, our grades. You know, they looked at students from Harlem. They looked at Aborigine schools and things, and they all had one thing in common. The kids had resilient skills, and that it started at school or at home. And she wrote this book called Thrivers, and it has great things in it about helping the students be resilient. You know, you got resilient students. One of the things they talked about was in the school having a significant other for the students to go to, because if they know they're safe with a custodian or a grandparent or whoever, you're going to know firsthand if there's a threat at the school, if a student's threatening to hurt themselves. And I recommend it for ESA, homeschool parents, and the district as well. It was $25 a book. I get no kickbacks. It was $8 something on Kindle. So I wanted to share that with you because it's really important.
$17.99 on Amazon.
Was it? Thank you. But it's well worth the read. And another thing they mentioned, and I'm not sure, I assume we still do it, where there's recognition awards that people can fill out.
Yes.
And send to you. We need to see more of those.
Yes.
We need to really be focusing on the things people are doing well. How often, it's like the kids even, you know, how often are the good kids overlooked because the kids that tend to struggle take up more time of the administrators. And it's the same with the teachers. You know, who are the teachers that get the most attention from the district? It's not necessarily the teachers that are doing well. And so personally, I'd like to see more recognition coming out of the schools. And
Dr. Dorner didn't even know she was going to say that.
that's all I have. It was a great opportunity, and I'm appreciative to have gotten to go.
Yes, I echo that sentiment. I feel very privileged to be able to go. Being a fairly new board, you know, all of us with less than a year in experience here, I took the opportunities to go to more of the instructional open meeting law type, what's coming in from the legislator and how does that work its way into our school districts and the way that we govern and partner with the district and things like that. So there are, well, I think I probably sent 6 or 7 emails to Dr. Dorner going, I'm not sure about this. Let's work through this. So I am excited about the possibilities. I'm excited about the future and all of these different things together. And I also was going to mention the book Thrivers. As she was speaking, because I love students as much as you love students, she brought tears to my eyes multiple times as she was describing these success stories. And the book came about when she was noticing that students are stressed, students are anxious, students, you know, have a lot of negative emotions. And as she was studying the reasons why, the common thread was we don't have the tools to be able to navigate life. We don't know how to be productive. We don't know how to move forward. We don't have these tools. And so that's where she went on to put together these tools. And she kind of has narrowed it down to 7 things, which is empathy for others, self-control, integrity, curiosity, perseverance, optimism, and self-confidence. And those are not things that you buy a program for. Those are things that we as educators model, as community members, we model and come alongside and mentor to help give them those tools to be successful. And so it's just, we are recognizing that our students maybe need a little bit more and they just need a little extra love sometimes. And so again, I was very blown away by the whole thing and the opportunity, and know that there's work to do, but we have a really good team here. And so I'm very appreciative of that.
I had some along that line.
Yes, ma'am.
Part of her research, and I think it came out of Harvard, that parents are 40% more stressed than they ever have been. They're having to work 1, 2 jobs. And when they come home, their kids need help and they're just at the end of their day and things. So it was not interesting, but validating that, it's a two-way street with
It's part of that
kids.
empathy tool. It's understanding where each one of us comes from and being able to move forward.
Thank you.
Lori, are you still there?
Yes, I am.
Okay, you had something you wanted to mention.
So I just was invited to the 60th anniversary for Manzanita Elementary this last week. And so they're hoping to host, and more details will be coming. It was more of just an informal recognition that 1, this school is 60 years old. 2, they're planning on having tentative dates for November 30th and December 1st. And they're hoping to incorporate multiple schools into this. So I'm sure the principals will be discussing with each other along with Dr. Dorner, and then we'll see more on our agenda probably next meeting as they finalize it. But they had a great idea where they were going to have seniors from both Lee Williams and Kingman High School compete for recreating the dragon, the Manzanita dragon, and then hopefully provide an incentive to the winner so that it can help towards either a graphics arts or even just someone that's really engaged in art, so that can be their new spirit shirt. So I thought that was a really interesting thing.
Thank you for bringing that to our attention. I will look forward to that. My student attended Manzanita, so. All right, any other board report? Report from the board member? All right, so we will move on to item number 6, which is the approval of routine orders of business. In your board packets, there were items A through K. Is there any of the items that you would like to pull for more consideration?
No.
Anything from the board? I did want to pull item number H. So we will pull that item from the consent agenda, and then I will I also need to remove Samantha Lepe from the approved personnel term leave ratification list. She has withdrew her resignation, so we need to remove her name from that list before we approve the consent agenda. So is there a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a second. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So we will go to item number H on the consent agenda, which was to approve a travel to Chicago for Julie Gregg and a colleague. And I saw she walked in, so I wanted to give you an opportunity. I personally just wanted to say thank you for including the documentation that you provided to the board to give us as much information as possible in making the decision. So I just wanted to say thank you for that. So thank you. So I will make a motion to approve the travel for the Midwest International Band and Orchestra Clinic Conference for Dr. Gregg and her colleague.
I'll second.
All right. All right. Just more discussion? All in favor? All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody
Aye.
opposed? So thank you for that. Again, wanted to say thank you for that. So we will move on to item number 7. which is to approve a proposed credit addition to an existing course for creative writing.
We get it. We have the same issues.
President Henry and members of the board, this agenda item supports KUSD's strategic plan, priority-free, equitable, and accessible learning environments by giving high school students an additional opportunity to earn English credit that is required for graduation. Creative writing is currently offered in our high schools as an elective credit. Since the Arizona Board of Regents, or ABOR, has approved creative writing as an English credit, we are recommending that KUSD offer this course as an option for students to earn English credit as well.
Is there any comments or questions? All right, well then, do we have a motion to approve the credit addition for creative writing?
I'll move.
Is there a second?
Seconded.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, item number 8, to approve the recommendation to renew a district RFP 21-10-26 for hardware and small tools with Kingman True Value. This is the 4th year of a 5-year award.
Madam President, members of the board, Kingman True Value, we have had our RFP with them for several years. This was, of course, before we went with SSC, so we were spending quite a bit more money with them. But now with SSC doing all of the maintenance, we have very minimal spending with them. But we wanted to continue the RFP with them until it expired, just because it was already in place. So we, they have agreed to keep the pricing and continue with us for this will be year 4. So we'll do this year and then renew again next year until this is done. Then we'll relook at it and when it's completed.
Madam President? Yes. Do we have a way to keep track of our tools so that we're not having to buy them all the time? Because I know screwdrivers tend to end up in pockets and things.
The tool wise, it's typically, we just have just the smaller ones, but I think for the most part, it's just whatever was over at maintenance. We don't individual little tools, but are you meaning like just the little ones or all the big ones or everything?
Well, it's just, I've known in the past, tools have a hard time sticking it out, you know, and if we're going to keep putting this money into it, do we have a plan to keep track of our tools?
So since SSC is our maintenance company now, that's not something we as a district incur cost on.
So they would be the ones dealing with True Value, nobody in the district.
So
otherwise.
True Value would be minimal stuff that the district, us, would then own. Donna, do you have the amount that we spent last year on True Value?
Last year we spent 2,500, and that would probably be more like painting. Like if a teacher or a school wanted to go buy paint to paint a classroom and stuff, that would be like what we'd spent with them.
Oh, good. Thanks for the clarification.
Sorry.
And since we are a new board, can you just tell us what the RFP stands for?
Request for proposal.
Thank you.
No problem.
All right, so do we have a motion to approve for the district to continue this award with True Value?
I'll make the motion.
So we have a motion on the table. Is there a second?
I second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone
Aye.
opposed? All right, item number 9, to approve the sale/disposal of 20 school buses and 3 white fleet vehicles.
Madam President, members of the board. So anytime we have any kind of asset that has been purchased with district funds, we have to go through a process where we offer it back up for sale to either a bid or put it out for the public to do. So we have to post it. So we found in the past listing it on a website. We use the public surplus. It is a national website that we can post. We do post it on our district website as well, and let's have the link available. It has seemed to be very worthy and it kind of gets it out there for everyone. And it seems to help sell it very quickly for us, but we have to always have it an option to have it available for sale. We cannot just dispose of it and get rid of it because it has been bought with district funds. So this is the quickest and easiest way for us to do our due diligence and get it sold and then get the money back for the district. So this is where at this point we have 20 buses we'd like to sell, and then also 3 of our older vehicles that we were using for our transportation department that they were using for the bus barn to, like when the buses broke down, they would use these as service trucks. So now that we have got new ones, we would like to get rid of the older ones at this time.
All right. And
Madam President.
okay, go ahead.
Oh, it does my heart good to know we have new buses and most of them have AC on it.
Yes.
So way to go.
Yep, that was the clarification I was gonna ask. Is there any other questions for her?
Nope.
All right. Do we have a motion then to approve the sale of the buses and the fleet vehicles?
Do the motion.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? All right, item number 10, possible action to reclassify Christy Wicks from teacher on assignment to assistant principal at Manzanita.
Madam President and members of the board, occasionally the district will underfill positions by filling the position with an individual who is qualified for a lower job classification in the same classification series, such as school administration. Providing pathways into leadership positions is one means through which we can invest in our school leaders and work toward our staff retention goals. For school year 2022-23, Christy Wicks was selected to underfill the position of assistant principal at Manzanita Elementary School while completing the state requirements to obtain certification required by Arizona Department of Education to hold this position. And while working on these requirements, her classification remained teacher on assignment. Congratulations to Ms. Wicks. She has completed everything that she needs, and as such, staff is recommending the governing board approve reclassifying the position held by Christy Wicks from teacher on assignment to assistant principal and reclassifying Ms. Wicks to assistant principal effective August 21st, 2023. And then staff further recommends the governing board authorize staff to issue Ms. Wicks a prorated 2023-24 certified administrator employment contract.
Any questions? I say congratulations. Completing the work and getting the certification that was required. So we appreciate you very much. Is there a motion to accept this recommendation?
I'll make a motion.
Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So we send congratulations. All right, number 11, possible action to approve the 23-24 employee handbook.
Madam President and members of the board, district staff internally audit the employee handbook on an annual basis and more frequently if changes in governing board policies, laws, or practices occur. The annual internal review is complete and the employee handbook has been professionally reviewed by the district's employment attorney. Staff bring the employee handbook forward for possible approval by the governing board today. While the governing board policies take precedence over all information in the employee handbook, the handbook provides a summary of the many key policies, procedures, and benefits of the school district. You will see that hyperlinks are included in many sections of the handbook so that employees may easily reference the full governing board policies, regulations, and exhibits that are relevant to that section. Many of the changes made were housekeeping in nature and intended to further clarify existing policies or practices. Some of the more significant changes include the wages upon hire section was expanded to include information pertinent to certified and classified staff, including the practice that staff returning to employment with KUSD in the same classification within 12 months or less will be hired at the hourly wage or salary at which they left employment. A clarification within the time clock procedure section that employees who are in unpaid leave status or who have not yet completed their probationary period are not eligible for holiday pay. The personal leave and vacation leave sections have been updated to reflect the governing board approved changes to policies that occurred during the August 2023 meeting. The clause that employees on district-approved intermittent leave are not eligible for sick leave donations has been removed. The bereavement leave section specifies that such leave is available upon completion of an employee's probationary period. A section on victim leave has been added. The sick leave buyback program has been updated for clarification to include non-certified salaried staff, as well as the reimbursement for unused sick leave section. And then in the safety accident reporting section, the following verbiage has been added. Employees are responsible for the proper care of all district facilities, equipment, and property in their custody or control. Damage to district property caused by carelessness or negligence could result in disciplinary action. Staff recommend the governing board approve the 2023-24 employee handbook as presented, with the exception of several updates that have been made to governing board and personnel members' names. Staff further recommend that the governing board authorize staff to finalize and post the employee handbook on the staff portal, and authorize the superintendent or the superintendent's designee to make additional changes during the school year as policies, laws, practices, and personnel change.
Any questions from the board? So I did take the time to read it one of the evenings during the law conference, and that was one of the things they did speak quite a bit about, making sure you have policies and handbooks and things written down so that there is no questions. And so I appreciated the fact that it was coming before and you know, being open for us, and I appreciate that. So thank you, guys. Would someone like to make a motion to approve the 23-24 employee handbook with those changes and updates?
Also move.
All right, is there a second? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. All right, item number 12, possible action to approve reclassification of district nurse from non-exempt to exempt.
Madam President and members of the board, district staff are proposing to change the district nurse classification from non-exempt to exempt. More specifically, we propose changing it from a classified position paid on an hourly basis and also eligible for overtime to an 11-month manager 1 salaried position. The district nurse is a licensed registered nurse with overall responsibility to plan, coordinate, manage, and direct the delivery of the district's health programs and services to create a climate of health and well-being throughout KUSD schools and minimize student absences for health reasons. The recommendation to change the position and its current incumbent from hourly to salaried is driven by factors that include the level of knowledge needed, autonomy and judgment exercised, complexity of the work performed, the overall effect of the work product and services performed, supervisory controls, and the level of personal interactions required outside of the supervisory chain to successfully perform this work. We believe these elements to be similarly aligned with the parent liaison and discipline hearings officer, which is also a salaried 11-month position. Staff believes this position meets the duties tests under the Department of Labor to qualify for the Learn Professional Employee Exemption for overtime. These tests are that the employee must be compensated at a salary basis of not less than $684 a week, although there is possible changes out there to that. The employee's primary duty must be performance of the work requiring advanced knowledge defined as work which is predominantly intellectual in character and which includes work requiring the consistent exercise of discretion and judgment. The third duties test is the advanced knowledge must be in a field of science or learning, and the fourth is the advanced knowledge must be customarily acquired by a prolonged course of specialized intellectual instruction. The Department of Labor states that registered nurses who are registered by the appropriate state examining board generally meet the duties requirements for the Learn Professional Exemption, and if paid on a salary basis of at least $684 per week, may be classified as exempt. Given this, staff recommends the governing board approve staff changing the job classification from non-exempt to exempt. Staff further recommends that the governing board authorize staff to issue a prorated 11-month term contract to current incumbent Mary Whitmer in an amount commensurate with the manager one salary.
So we currently only have one position, and that's what we would plan to stay with.
One district nurse position. Yes.
Are there any other questions?
So, this person is like the managing nurse for district. What does it mean to be?
Thank you for the question. So a non-exempt employee is paid on an hourly basis and they are eligible for overtime. So if they work more than 40 hours in a week, they would be eligible to get time and a half as payment. Whereas the exempt employees are our salaried employees, and the expectation there is that they work 40 or more hours a week, enough hours in which to get the essential functions of the job done. Not as a salaried employee. Correct, yes.
Making more with the salary than you would with an hourly wage. But are there any times when this district nurse would be required to work 60 hours a week or 80 hours a week? I know where I work. I know where I work when I go down to the union and it's fine. I can be called, I can get 30 hours of overtime in 1 week. I don't get paid for it. Salary position. And I'm on call 24/7 down there. And, I think it's, I don't know.
Board Member Cox, I'll answer that question, and Director Trujillo may jump in because she's the supervisor of the district nurse. She has a regular schedule. She works typically would be Monday through Thursday. She supervises the 4 schools. She would have a regular day. And the expectation would be she doesn't extend beyond that day on a normal basis. There may be times when there's an immunization clinic that she would attend on a Saturday. But that would be about quarterly. There may be some time on a Saturday, and if she needed the flex time, could work with Vicky. So it's not our intention to make her exempt to suddenly work her 60 or 80 hours. It's not similar to your situation. It just keeps her from having to clock in and clock out when she's at a variety of locations. It makes the salary a little more commensurate. And as Director Moreski explained, she meets the criteria of exempt employee. So that's a great question. We're not tricking her into working a lot more hours, I promise. Is that correct, Director Trujillo? Okay.
All right.
And I appreciate you asking and making sure she's taken care of. We need our health people healthy.
Yes. And then I guess my only other would be is that our current person meets all those requirements. So if we reclassify it and then at some time in the future, when she retires after lots and lots and lots of years, may it be more difficult to fill her position because we have reclassified it?
We will make every attempt to absolutely find another qualified suitable candidate.
We need one. We have to have an RN to manage the health attendants. So
that's part of state.
It would be unfilled until we found one, I would imagine.
All right, thank you very much. Is there a motion then to approve the reclassification of the district nurse from non-exempt to exempt? I have a motion on the table. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, motion carries. Item number 13 is to approve donations. They are listed in the agenda and fill up over a whole page. So congratulations, community guys. You guys have done it again. So is there a motion to approve the donations to our schools?
I'll make a motion.
We have a motion on the table. Is there a second?
Seconded.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? All right, thank you very much. Moving to item number 14, possible move into executive session for the Arizona Revised Statute 38-431.03 to discuss the request by Eric Rothrock to be released from contract. We did get the documentation in our board packet. So upon reading, is there a motion then to move into executive session? We don't need one.
I'll make the motion.
Oh, well, I think we're saying that we're okay with what we read in the board packet.
Oh,
to
okay.
just move on to making, going on with possible action.
Yeah.
All right.
Am I correct in that if you would like to do an executive session, you could, but the employee is not present to have, to
Right.
necessitate one?
And the information we
Yeah.
were provided was fairly straightforward.
Yes.
For his request to be relieved and what the actions would be. So then we could move to item number 16. If someone would like to make the motion to approve his request to be released.
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
Seconded.
All right. Any more discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, well then that will move.
Madam President. I apologize. You brought these up here and we honor student work and they will get handed out to each of us. I'm going to pass it over to the board president.
All right, so that will move us to item number 17. Is there a motion to adjourn
I make
tonight's
the
meeting?
motion.
All right, do we have a second? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, guys. Thank you guys for being here. It's very nice to see so many of you guys out there. So we appreciate you all.